I think you're right to point out that this speech happened a couple of days before these new measures were introduced. And indeed, Donald Trump, on one hand, provided some reassurances on a US support to NATO, made some comments on Russia that were eagerly awaited here in Warsaw, but he also had another part of his discourse, a very clash of civilization discourse. He didn't talk about democracy, but he talked a lot about civilization, about the West, with this idea that to survive in globalization, Western nations need to be true to themselves, be true to the traditional values. And this is pretty much the discourse of the current government here in Warsaw. So did they feel emboldened by the backing of such a powerful ally? It could be, especially as we heard in the EU context, Poland is increasingly isolated because of these policies. And actually, may I also come back on what will happen and the Article 7 question? Because the Article 7 is often referred to as the nuclear option. And it's called nuclear for a reason, because it's an option of last resort and because it could be pretty devastating. As was mentioned, the context here is very polarized politically. It's also a partisan debate, and I agree that it's important that the EU Commission does not give the impression that it's supporting a party. The EU Commission is not supporting a party. The EU Commission is supporting the treaties. It's the gatekeeper of the treaties and of the values that underpin this political community that is the EU. So we should also be careful with the discourse that try to personalize the debate and make it as an obsession of Mr. Timmermans, right? Which is in a way a convenient way for the authorities not to have to respond to the real questions that are triggered by this set of measures. In this context, the EU needs to tread very carefully, because while it's important that it doesn't stay without response while its core values are actually encroached, at the same time, it's important not to alienate the Polish population. While we might want in Brussels to have these laws amended somehow, we do not want to alienate the Polish population. And I think it's important not to stigmatize a whole country. I think I heard that the Poles are not pro-European. I beg to differ. Actually, when you look at the polls, the Polish population is actually rather pro-European. The thing, though, is that the EU Commission should be careful not to give rhetorical ammunition to the authorities in their anti-Allied discourse, in a way. And in that sense, the balance is to defend the values while not giving the impression that we're imposing something from outside. This is why, in my view, the solution is a dispassionate debate, unpersonalized, simply holding member states responsible for their engagement towards basic norms and values.
All right.